Welcome to the Hidden Wealth Coins. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary that no one looks twice, yet powerful enough to rewrite your entire life overnight. These Sacagawea dollars were spent, ignored, and forgotten, while hidden versions quietly turned into legends. One mistake, one perfect strike, one overlooked detail can push a simple dollar into the world of unimaginable wealth. If you own one, this isn't pocket change, it's a silent fortune waiting to wake up today now. First up, the year 2000 marked a silent but powerful turning point in American coin history, when the United States introduced a golden-colored dollar coin that looked nothing like anything people were used to. This was the Sacagawea dollar, struck at the Philadelphia Mint with a small P mark that many people ignored at the time. What most Americans never realized was that this coin was not just another dollar, but the beginning of one of the most fascinating modern coin stories ever told. While people spent these coins on snacks, parking meters, and vending machines, a tiny number of these pieces quietly escaped into collections, errors, and experimental strikes, setting the stage for values that would later shock even experienced collectors. Sacagawea herself was chosen as the face of this coin for a reason that goes beyond design. She was not a president, not a general, not a politician, but a guide, a survivor, and a symbol of courage. Her image on the 2000p dollar represents guidance through the unknown, and in a strange way, this coin has guided collectors into uncharted territory of modern numismatics. Unlike older silver or gold coins, this dollar was never meant to be valuable, which is exactly why the rare versions have become so powerful today. When a coin is underestimated, it has the most room to surprise the world. At first glance, most 2000p Sacagawea dollars look ordinary. Millions were struck, and the public treated them casually. But hidden among these ordinary coins were extraordinary mistakes, experimental finishes, and transitional pieces created during a time when the U.S. Mint was testing materials, dyes, and production methods. Some coins were struck with dyes that were never meant for public circulation, while others carried subtle features that separated them from standard issues. These differences were invisible to everyday people but obvious to trained eyes, and that is where the real story begins. One of the most legendary aspects of the 2000p Sacagawea dollar lies in its early production phase, when the mint was still transitioning from previous dollar designs. During this period, a few coins were struck using dyes connected to experimental or prototype work. These coins were never officially announced, never marketed, and never intended to be released. Yet somehow, a small number escaped. Coins like this are not just rare, they are historical accidents, and collectors value accidents more than perfection because they can never be recreated. What makes these rare Sacagawea dollars so powerful is not just their scarcity, but the confusion surrounding them. Many were discovered years later, sitting unnoticed in collections or inherited coin jars. Some owners didn't even know they had something unusual until experts examined surface texture, edge lettering behavior, strike sharpness, and color tone under magnification. In the coin world, mystery adds value, and the 2000p Sacagawea dollar has mystery layered upon mystery, which is why certain examples are treated like modern treasures. When condition enters the equation, everything changes. A normal circulated Sacagawea dollar is worth face value, but a flawless coin preserved from the moment it was struck becomes something entirely different. Coins that show razor-sharp details, untouched surfaces, and original mint luster can multiply in value rapidly. If that pristine condition is combined with a rare strike, experimental finish, or mint error, the price does not climb slowly, it explodes. This is how a simple dollar crosses into six-figure and, in extreme cases, seven-figure conversations. Collectors don't just buy metal, they buy stories frozen in time. The story of the 2000p Sacagawea dollar is one of a new millennium, a new design philosophy, and a failed attempt to replace the paper dollar. Because the coin never became popular in daily use, many were stored improperly or ignored completely. That neglect destroyed most high-quality examples, making surviving perfect coins dramatically more valuable today. Scarcity created by indifference is one of the strongest forces in the coin market. Some versions of this coin are surrounded by near-mythical status because they blur the line between official issue and prototype. Coins that were never meant for circulation but accidentally entered the public domain occupy a special place in numismatics. They are chased not only by private collectors but also by elite buyers who see them as historical artifacts rather than currency. These buyers don't ask what a coin cost yesterday. They ask how many exist and whether they will ever see another one again. The idea that a coin like this could change someone's life is not fantasy, its history repeating itself. Time and again, overlooked coins have surfaced decades later and rewritten the financial future of their owners. What turns a coin into a fortune is not hype, but the combination of rarity, condition, and narrative. The 2000p Sacagawea dollar sits at the perfect intersection of all three, which is why knowledgeable collectors speak about it with respect and caution rather than excitement alone. It's important to understand that the real value of such a coin is never determined in a hurry. People who rush to sell rare coins often lose the most. True collectors take time, seek expert verification, and wait for the right market moment. Coins like this do not belong in pawn shops or quick online listings. They belong in controlled auctions or private negotiations where serious buyers compete, and competition is what drives prices into unbelievable territory. The most dangerous thing an owner of a rare Sacagawea dollar can do is assume it's common. Many life-changing coins were spent, lost, or sold cheaply simply because someone didn't look twice. The difference between a $1 loss and a once-in-a-lifetime gain is knowledge. This is why stories of rare coins are filled with regret and amazement in equal measure, and why patience becomes more valuable than the coin itself. What truly separates the legendary 2000p Sacagawea dollars from ordinary ones is that they represent a moment when modern minting collided with human error. Machines are precise, but humans program them, test them, and adjust them. Every adjustment creates the possibility of something unintended. Those unintended results are the heartbeat of rare modern coins, and this dollar is one of the strongest examples of that phenomenon. As years pass, the number of surviving high-end examples can only decrease. Coins are damaged, lost, or permanently altered every day. That means rarity increases naturally over time, without the mint ever striking another example. This slow tightening of supply is why prices can leap suddenly, catching the public by surprise. When awareness grows, it's already too late to buy cheaply. The 2000p Sacagawea dollar is more than a coin. It's a quiet reminder that history doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for the right person to recognize its power. For those who hold one of the truly rare versions, the coin is not just money, it's a key. A key to opportunity, to legacy, and to a future shaped by a single overlooked moment from the year 2000. In the world of coins, that is how fortunes are born overnight. Second up, the year 2001 arrived quietly, but inside the Denver Mint, something powerful was already in motion. America had just stepped into a new millennium, and the Sacagawea dollar was still a fresh experiment, a bold attempt to reshape how Americans viewed dollar coins. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar was born during this uncertain phase, when the mint was adjusting production, refining strikes, and reacting to public rejection of the coin. What makes this year special is that it exists in the shadow of expectation and disappointment, a moment when oversight, inconsistency, and experimentation quietly opened the door to rare outcomes that would later leave collectors stunned. Sacagawea's image on the coin carries a deeper meaning than most people ever stop to consider. She represents guidance through unknown lands, survival against overwhelming odds, and strength that history nearly forgot. In a symbolic way, the 2001 Sacagawea dollar mirrors her story. It was released into a world that didn't fully understand it, overlooked by the public, and underestimated at every level. That lack of attention is exactly what allowed some of the most extraordinary modern coin rarities to exist without immediate discovery. At the Denver Mint in 2001, production was no longer about excitement, it was about efficiency. Demand for the Sacagawea dollar had dropped sharply, and when demand drops, quality control often changes its rhythm. Dies were reused longer, adjustments were made quickly, and small deviations were more likely to slip through unnoticed. In such environments, rare strikes are born. Coins created during these moments capture the fingerprints of human decision-making, and collectors value those fingerprints more than perfection. Most 2001 Sacagawea dollars entered storage almost immediately. Banks ordered fewer, businesses rejected them, and the public ignored them. This unusual fate created a strange contradiction. Many coins existed, yet very few were actually handled or studied. Among these stored coins, a tiny number were preserved in exceptional condition from the very first second of their existence. When a coin remains untouched by circulation and protected from environmental damage, it freezes time, and time is the most expensive ingredient in numismatics. The true power of the 2001 Sacagawea dollar emerges when condition meets anomaly. Coins struck with unusual surface texture, unexpected sharpness, or subtle visual differences can carry values that feel unreal to outsiders. These are not things visible to the casual eye. They are revealed under careful inspection, where light, angle, and experience combine to expose a coin's hidden identity. This is where a $1 object begins its transformation into something capable of rewriting a person's future. Modern coin history teaches us that rarity is not always about low mintage numbers. Sometimes rarity is about survival in perfect form. Many 2001 Sacagawea dollars were stored loosely, stacked improperly, or exposed to conditions that ruined their surfaces. As years passed, pristine examples quietly vanished. This silent disappearance increased the importance of the few remaining flawless pieces, turning them into elite artifacts of early 21st century minting history. There is also the element of unintentional uniqueness. When production slows and attention shifts elsewhere, subtle variations can occur that were never documented or explained. These variations become puzzles that collectors obsess over. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar sits in that mysterious space where official records end and real-world discovery begins. Coins from this period challenge assumptions and force experts to reconsider what they thought they knew about modern U.S. coinage. Value does not rise overnight without reason, but when it rises fast. Coins connected to transitional years, declining programs, or abandoned public experiments often experience delayed explosions in value. The Sacagawea dollar program never achieved its intended success, which ironically made its early issues more meaningful with time. The 2001 issue represents a moment when the program was still alive but already fading, and coins from fading systems often become historic markers. What separates life-changing coins from ordinary collectibles is belief backed by scarcity. When collectors collectively realize that something once dismissed is actually rare, demand shifts instantly. Wealthy buyers do not chase what everyone already wants, they chase what everyone ignored. This mindset has driven certain 2001 Sacagawea dollars into conversations that involve numbers most people associate with luxury real estate, not pocket change. Owning such a coin is not just about possession, it's about responsibility. Selling too early, selling to the wrong buyer, or selling without understanding the coin's full context can destroy generational opportunity. History is filled with stories of people who unknowingly let go of fortunes for convenience. Coins like this demand patience, silence, and strategy. The smartest move is often to wait while the world catches up. The emotional power of discovering a rare coin cannot be overstated. Imagine realizing that something overlooked for years carries the weight of unimaginable potential. That realization changes how people view money, history, and chance itself. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar embodies that emotional shift. It reminds us that value is not always visible and that the greatest rewards often come from what others fail to notice. As time moves forward, fewer untouched examples will remain. Coins are lost, mishandled, or permanently altered every year. This natural erosion of supply happens quietly, without headlines, but its impact is enormous. When demand eventually collides with this shrinking pool, prices don't climb, they leap. This is how sudden million-dollar realizations are born in the numismatic world. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar is not a promise, it is a possibility. A possibility rooted in history, shaped by neglect, and powered by rarity. It stands as proof that even in modern times, when everything feels documented and predictable, surprises still exist. Coins like this don't announce their power loudly. They wait. In the end, this coin is a reminder that fortune doesn't always come from what is loud, shiny, or celebrated. Sometimes it comes from what was quietly set aside, misunderstood, and forgotten. For those who hold a truly exceptional 2001 Sacagawea dollar, the coin is more than metal. It is a doorway. And for the few who recognize it in time, that doorway can open to a future changed in a single night. Third up. The year 2001 sits at a strange crossroads in American history, balanced between optimism and uncertainty, and the 2001 Sacagawea dollar was born right in the middle of that moment. The Philadelphia Mint was producing these coins while the country was still adjusting to a new millennium, and expectations for the Sacagawea dollar were quietly collapsing. What makes this year so important is that the coin was no longer new, no longer celebrated, and no longer carefully watched by the public. That silence created the perfect environment for overlooked rarities to exist without immediate attention, which is often how the most valuable coins in history are born. Sacagawea's portrait on the coin carries a powerful message that goes far beyond design. She symbolizes guidance through uncertainty, survival under pressure, and strength that history once ignored. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar reflects that symbolism in metal form. It entered circulation at a time when Americans were distracted, uninterested, and largely unaware of what was passing through their hands. Coins released during such periods often gain importance later, not because they were loved, but because they were forgotten. At the Philadelphia Mint, production in 2001 was no longer about showcasing innovation. It was about continuation. When a coin program reaches this phase, attention shifts, and subtle irregularities become more likely. Dies are used longer, adjustments are made quietly, and minor deviations escape notice. These are the exact conditions that allow rare strikes, unusual surfaces, and exceptional specimens to emerge. Collectors understand that moments of routine can be more dangerous and more valuable than moments of celebration. Most 2001 Sacagawea dollars never lived real lives in circulation. They were stored, boxed, stacked, and forgotten almost immediately. Banks didn't want them, businesses didn't ask for them, and the public avoided them. This unusual fate created a paradox. Millions existed, yet very few were handled with care. Over time, storage damage, friction, and neglect destroyed countless coins, leaving only a tiny number preserved in extraordinary condition from the moment they were struck. Condition is where this coin begins to separate itself from the ordinary. A flawless Sacagawea dollar from 2001 is not just clean, it is frozen in time. Every detail remains sharp, every surface untouched, every reflection original. Coins like this are rare not because of how many were made, but because of how few survived perfectly. In the world of modern numismatics, perfection is often rarer than age, and rarity is the foundation of extreme value. What transforms a pristine coin into a life-changing one is uniqueness. Some 2001 Sacagawea dollars display characteristics that do not align perfectly with standard expectations. These differences are subtle, often visible only under careful examination, but subtlety is where the highest values hide. Collectors don't chase obvious treasures. They chase the quiet anomalies that cannot be easily explained or repeated. The Sacagawea dollar program itself plays a major role in the coin's long-term importance. It was designed to succeed, promoted with confidence, and then quietly failed to replace the paper dollar. Programs that fall short often leave behind artifacts that later gain meaning. The 2001 issue represents a moment when hope was fading but production continued anyway. Coins from such moments act as historical witnesses, capturing the end of an idea rather than its beginning. There is a psychological element to value that cannot be ignored. Coins that were ignored for years often experience sudden re-evaluation when collectors realize how few exceptional examples truly exist. When that realization spreads, demand changes instantly. Wealthy collectors and institutions do not hesitate once scarcity becomes undeniable. Prices jump not because of hype, but because the opportunity disappears. Stories of overlooked coins turning into fortunes are not myths. They are patterns repeated throughout numismatic history. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar fits that pattern perfectly. It looks ordinary, feels ordinary, and was treated as ordinary. That is precisely why its rare forms have such explosive potential. Value often hides behind familiarity, waiting for someone patient enough to question assumptions. Owning a potentially rare example of this coin carries responsibility. The fastest way to lose a fortune is to rush. Coins like this should never be sold in haste, never trusted to casual buyers, and never dismissed because of face value. True worth reveals itself only through time, expertise, and strategic patience. Those who understand this rule are the ones who benefit when markets shift. The emotional impact of realizing you possess something extraordinary cannot be measured. A coin that sat quietly for years suddenly becomes a symbol of possibility. It changes how people see chance, history, and their own attention to detail. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar has that power, not for everyone, but for the few who hold the right example at the right time. As the years pass, the number of untouched, exceptional Sacagawea dollars will continue to shrink. Coins are scratched, cleaned, mishandled, or lost every single day. This slow destruction increases the importance of survivors without making noise. When demand eventually collides with this shrinking supply, values don't rise gently, they surge. Modern coins are often underestimated because they feel too recent to be important. History proves that this belief is dangerous. Many of today's most valuable coins were once dismissed for being too new. The 2001 Sacagawea dollar stands as a reminder that significance is not measured in centuries alone, but in context, survival, and rarity. In the end, this coin represents a quiet truth about wealth and history. Fortune doesn't always announce itself with age or glitter. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, wrapped in familiarity, waiting for the moment when someone finally understands what they are holding. For those who possess a truly exceptional 2001 Sacagawea dollar, the coin is not just currency. It is potential. And in rare cases, that potential is powerful enough to change a life overnight. Fourth up. The year 2002 is often overlooked in American coin history, but for collectors who understand silence, it was one of the most dangerous years to ignore. By this time, the Sacagawea dollar had already lost public attention. Banks didn't want it, stores avoided it, and the public treated it as an inconvenience. Inside the Denver Mint, however, production continued, not with excitement, but with obligation. The 2002 Sacagawea dollar was struck during a period when expectation was gone, and history shows that coins born in forgotten moments often become the most powerful later. Sacagawea's image on the coin remains a symbol of guidance through uncertainty, and the 2002 issue mirrors that symbolism perfectly. This coin entered circulation at a time when America itself was navigating uncertainty, and the coin quietly passed through hands without recognition. Coins that are ignored during their lifetime often gain meaning long after, because neglect creates rarity in ways that mintage numbers never can. The 2002 Sacagawea dollar carries that quiet destiny. At the Denver Mint, 2002 production reflected fatigue rather than innovation. The program was no longer a priority, which changed how coins were made, handled, and inspected. Dies were pushed further, quality checks were routine rather than intense, and subtle variations became more likely. In numismatic history, this is the exact environment where exceptional coins are unintentionally created. Not because of ambition, but because of routine. Most 2002 Sacagawea dollars never truly circulated. They were stored in vaults, bags, and rolls, forgotten almost immediately. This created an unusual imbalance. Many coins existed, yet few were ever examined carefully. Over time, improper storage damaged surfaces, dulled luster, and erased detail. Only a tiny fraction survived in untouched, pristine condition, and those survivors are the ones that now command serious attention. Condition is everything when discussing extreme value. A perfect 2002 Sacagawea dollar is not just clean, it is untouched history. No friction, no marks, no dulling, no interruption of the original surface. Coins like this are rare because perfection is fragile. Time, humidity, handling, and even good intentions destroy most coins long before collectors ever see them. What elevates certain examples beyond ordinary perfection is individuality. Some 2002 Sacagawea dollars show subtle characteristics that separate them from standard strikes. These differences do not announce themselves loudly. They whisper. Experienced collectors know that the highest values live in whispers, not shouts. When a coin cannot be easily categorized, it becomes a question, and questions are valuable. The Sacagawea dollar program itself adds weight to this story. It was meant to modernize American currency, but instead became a symbol of resistance to change. Programs that fail leave behind relics that grow in importance over time. The 2002 issue represents a year when continuation replaced belief, and coins from such years often gain historical gravity later. Value in the coin world rarely moves gradually. It sleeps, then awakens suddenly. When collectors collectively realize how few exceptional examples truly exist, demand shifts instantly. The 2002 Sacagawea dollar sits in that sleeping zone. Quiet, underestimated, and waiting. When attention arrives, it will not ask permission before rewriting prices. History repeatedly shows that fortunes are lost not by bad luck, but by impatience. Coins like this are dangerous to sell quickly because their value depends on timing, context, and audience. The wrong sale erases opportunity forever. The right moment multiplies it. This is why truly rare modern coins are held, not flipped. There is something deeply emotional about discovering that an ordinary-looking coin carries extraordinary potential. It forces a re-evaluation of value itself. The 2002 Sacagawea dollar embodies that emotional shock. It reminds people that wealth does not always look impressive at first glance. Sometimes it looks familiar, boring, and forgettable. As years pass, the number of untouched 2002 Sacagawea dollars continues to shrink. Coins are cleaned, scratched, mishandled, or lost every day. This slow erosion of supply happens without headlines, but its impact is enormous. When demand finally collides with scarcity, prices do not rise politely. They surge. Modern coins are often dismissed because they feel too recent to matter. That belief has destroyed more potential fortunes than bad decisions ever could. Time does not need centuries to create value. It needs context, survival, and rarity. The 2002 Sacagawea dollar has all three quietly working in its favor. The real danger of this coin is not counterfeit or damage. The real danger is ignorance. Many life-changing coins were spent, sold, or ignored simply because their owners never imagined possibility. Knowledge is the dividing line between loss and legacy. In the end, the 2002 Sacagawea dollar is not a guarantee, but it is a door. A door created by neglect, shaped by history, and protected by rarity. For most people, it will remain just a dollar. But for the few who recognize the right coin at the right time, it has the power to rewrite a future in a single night. In the world of coins, that is how unimaginable wealth is born. Fifth up. The year 2000 was not just the beginning of a new millennium, it was a moment charged with expectation, experimentation, and quiet risk inside the United States Mint. The 2000 Sacagawea dollar emerged from the Denver Mint at a time when America was trying to redefine its money, its confidence, and its future. This coin was introduced with hope, but it entered circulation into a world that didn't fully understand it. That misunderstanding is the foundation of its power today, because history has shown again and again that what people ignore often becomes the most dangerous thing to overlook. Sacagawea's presence on the coin was a radical departure from tradition. She was not a president or a political figure, but a guide who helped navigate unknown territory. That symbolism feels almost prophetic when applied to the 2000 Sacagawea dollar itself. This coin was meant to guide Americans into a new era of currency, yet it was quietly rejected by daily use. When a coin's purpose fails, its story does not end. Instead, it begins to change shape, transforming from utility into artifact. Inside the Denver Mint, 2000 was a year of transition rather than certainty. Production was active, but the program was new, and new programs carry invisible chaos. Dies were fresh, processes were evolving, and expectations were still being tested. Coins struck during such moments often capture unintended characteristics, and those characteristics become priceless later. Collectors understand that the earliest strikes of any new design often hold secrets that later years never repeat. The public reaction to the Sacagawea dollar was lukewarm at best. People didn't trust it, didn't like the feel, and didn't want to change habits. As a result, many 2000 Sacagawea dollars were set aside almost immediately. They were stored in bags, rolls, and vaults rather than being worn down by circulation. This created an unusual situation where time did not naturally filter the coins through use, but instead tested them through storage, which is often far more destructive to perfection. Condition is where this coin begins to separate winners from the rest. A truly pristine 2000 Sacagawea dollar is not common, even though millions were made. Perfect surfaces, untouched luster, and razor-sharp details are incredibly fragile. One careless touch, one improper stack, or one moment of exposure can permanently damage a coin. Over the years, most examples lost their purity, leaving only a very small number that remain exactly as they were on the day they were born. Rarity does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers through subtle differences that only patient eyes can recognize. Certain 2000 Sacagawea dollars show characteristics that feel out of place, as if they belong to a different moment in the minting process. These coins challenge expectations and resist easy explanation. In the world of serious collecting, resistance equals value, because it forces collectors to slow down, investigate, and compete. The historical importance of the year 2000 amplifies everything. This was not just another date on a coin. It marked a psychological reset for the nation. Coins tied to symbolic years carry emotional weight, and emotional weight drives long-term demand. The 2000 Sacagawea dollar holds the identity of a beginning that never fully took hold, making it a snapshot of ambition frozen in metal. Extreme value is never created instantly. It builds quietly while the world looks elsewhere. Coins like this sit dormant for years, sometimes decades, before attention finally arrives. When it does, it arrives suddenly. Collectors who understand timing know that once awareness spreads, opportunity collapses. The price does not rise step by step, it jumps, leaving latecomers behind. The idea that a coin like this could change a life is not fantasy, it is precedent. Numismatic history is full of ordinary objects that became extraordinary because someone waited instead of rushing. The danger is never in holding too long, the danger is in letting go too soon. Coins tied to early production years of failed programs often become the most explosive once scarcity becomes undeniable. Selling such a coin without full understanding is one of the most common mistakes in collecting history. Face value creates psychological blindness. People assume modern coins cannot be powerful, and that assumption has destroyed fortunes before they were even recognized. A coin's true worth is revealed not at the counter, but at the table where experts, collectors, and long-term thinkers gather. There is also an emotional gravity attached to discovering potential where none was expected. Realizing that something dismissed for years might hold unimaginable value forces a complete shift in perspective. The 2000 Sacagawea dollar carries that shock factor. It teaches patience, observation, and respect for quiet history. As time moves forward, survival becomes more important than mintage. Coins continue to be mishandled, cleaned, damaged, or lost every single year. This silent destruction tightens supply without making noise. When demand finally intersects with survival, prices do not ask whether the world is ready. Modern coins are often underestimated because they feel familiar. Familiarity breeds neglect, and neglect breeds rarity. The 2000 Sacagawea dollar stands as proof that age alone does not create value. Context does. Timing does. Survival does. In the end, this coin is not a promise written in ink, but a possibility written in history. For most people, it will remain just another dollar from the year 2000. But for the few who recognize the right example, preserve it correctly, and wait with discipline, the 2000 Sacagawea dollar holds the power to turn silence into significance, and significance into a future changed in a single night.